Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's the Produce Moms podcast, and it's the best of what we do here at the Produce Moms podcast because we are doing our quarter two greetings and continuation from the Women's Roundtable. So with us today are two of our esteemed guests for the 2026 Roundtable. We have Jennie Coleman with Equifruit and Erica Manfre with South Champs. So really excited to welcome both of these ladies back. Jennie, why don't we kick things off with you? Say hello to everyone. Tell us where you're joining us from and anything that you'd like to say to kick things off. Actually, how about this? Have you ever heard of the term attention economy? Because that's what we're going to talk about today. So that'll be your intro.
Okay. So hi, everybody. I'm Jennie Coleman. I'm the president and co-owner of Equifruit. We are a fair trade banana company seeking global fair trade banana domination. So I'm in Montreal, Canada, more specifically today I'm at McGill University. I'm about to judge a business case competition here. Your question about the attention economy, I have to admit, I had to look that up. And then I was like, okay, that's what we're doing at Equifruit. So I'm looking forward to talking about this today.
I'm so glad. You're going to have so much to share because I agree. Equifruit was one of the first brands I thought about when attention economy was a topic I knew we wanted to discuss on the podcast. So This is going to be great. Erica, welcome back. We're glad you're here.
Thanks for having me. I'm Erica Manfre. I am with South Champs Mushroom. We are a company based in Pennsylvania. However, I am based in my home office in the Central Coast of California as a sales manager. I've been in the mushroom business for a long time, but I'm in my fourth year here at South Champs.
Wonderful. We're so glad you're here. What about you? Had you heard of attention economy before I sent you the run of show today?
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a marketing nerd. It's definitely not in my role, but I'm just very interested in it. And so I was very familiar with it.
Great. First of all, how would you define it? To you, what is attention economy? And how do you see it showing up today with consumers, with the produce industry, among families?
Attention is where the money is, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to view it. Produce has always been, historically, just something on your plate. But as attention has gone less on the radio, newspapers, and television, and moved to social media and the mobile devices, it's become something where you have to participate to get attention on it, to make people think about it. With bloggers and all of the food influencers out there, they're really directing how people are eating. And so without putting your focus or having a presence there, you can really be left behind.
Yeah, and also, too, just kind of going back to our Q1 discussion that we had when Megan was with us for that episode, we were talking about what we thought would be the king or queen of the produce department this year, and Megan was like, well, certainly it's cabbage, and really, that is a product of attention economy. There was so much attention delivered and fostered as it related to elevating something as humble as cabbage. So Jennie, let's get the mic to you. I know you said you looked it up, and then when you looked it up, you were immediately drawing the connection. So why don't you share more about that? Like, how are you feeling so tightly connected to the concept of attention economy, which, folks, is super popular. If you open up Ad Age, I promise you on their homepage, there's at least one, if not 5 articles about attention economy right now. Jennie, how did you draw that connection? Let's share some of those specific examples of how Equifruit is an example of attention economy.
Yeah, I think it's because we learned the hard way that nobody wants to listen to a lecture from Equifruit about what's going on in the banana industry. The world didn't really need another banana company. They needed a banana company that was following a different business model, a different path. And our path is the path of fair trade. And the reason that there's a need for fair trade is that there's a 100-year business model that doesn't really take into account the needs of small growers and producers who are at the beginning of our supply chain. Okay, already I've told you more than what most consumers want to hear about, right?
Right.
And In the first few years that I ran Equifruit is a business that I bought in 2013. And for the first 6 or 7 years, in every sales meeting, at every point of sale opportunity, we would tell the entire story of the banana industry and why, and people are just like, oh, I'm going to zone out. I'm boring myself right now, so let's just move on. We did a rebrand in 2020, and we just totally changed our strategy. We really understood that at point of sale, people are like me. I'm a mom of 3 kids. I want to make good choices for my family, but I want to do it in the least amount of time possible. And when I'm in the grocery store, I don't want to listen. I don't want to read somebody's doctoral thesis about bananas. I just want a quick hit. And that's really what we deliver now at Equifruit. Our point of sale material has very short, pithy little statements where you understand immediately that these bananas are a good choice. And if you want to learn more, we have a QR code and you can go and get your doctorate in bananology. But right when you're making that choice, we're just asking your attention for a few seconds.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up attention, because when I was preparing for this episode today, I guess this would be like an analogy or an adage, I'm not quite sure, but comparing the concept of attention economy to it's poverty of attention while there is a wealth of information. And that really hit home for me, that terminology and description. Poverty of attention among a wealth of information. And it is really what every single person is fighting for as it relates to consumer products, and certainly within the produce department and what we're all trying to do as female leaders and helping to raise others up. This can apply. It doesn't have to just apply to something that's transactional. It can also apply to even what the purpose of this women's roundtable is, helping people understand produce is a great career. There are plenty of opportunities for you as a female to thrive. So let's dive a little bit deeper into discussions centric to the fresh produce industry. So when we think about the concept of attention economy, how does this relate to our need to better connect the truth that we must connect with consumers in a way that builds trust, transparency, and really with the hope of building that long-term loyalty? Jennie, we'll start with you, because again, I think Equifruit's a great example here.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that we have more choice than ever before. And if we really want to build that relationship with consumers, and even before we get to consumers, with the buyers at the retail level, we have to a really concise story. You know, that elevator pitch where you used to have a minute or something, now you've got like 5 or 6 seconds. If you look at videos online, I remember when I was first doing this, and we had 30 seconds videos, and we're like, oh my gosh, we boiled it down to 30 seconds, and people were dropping off at 3-4 seconds. It really requires you to be immediately relevant and immediately interesting to stand out from a great sea of competition, whether it be direct competitors with the same product or for your commodity among so many others in the produce industry. It's, it's the game, and it's not an easy game to play. It takes so much thought to do something succinctly. If you have an hour to give a speech, you just blab on and on for an hour. But if you have you have to get all of your messages into a few seconds.
You're right, Jennie. When I really started thinking TPM needs to grow up, we need to invest in some of our own marketing and communication strategy, I had to work with a communications consultant professional. I hired someone who is a former broadcast journalist that I had collaborated with. And I said, I need you to help me explain what my brand is all about in less than 10 words.
Yeah.
I had to pay someone to help me do that. So But it is, you are so spot on with that. It is very hard to say things in a snappy yet also very meaningful and understandable way.
Can I just put a shout out for anyone who might be listening to this, who may not be in the produce industry yet, because I know we're going to talk about recruiting, but there is space out there for liberal arts graduates, English or whatever you've studied, because language and using language effectively is such an important, underrated part of running a business.
Yes. And it's a human skill.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Is the school university you're at today? Is it a liberal arts university?
No, McGill it's a big research university, and today I'm in the business school, specifically in their Center for Entrepreneurship. And it's business cases. See a bunch of young, ambitious, idealistic people pitch their business ideas.
Yeah. Hey, communication's absolutely paramount for that. All right, Erica, let's get the mic to you. Let's really talk about how this comes to life at point of sale. So, especially as so many of our shopping habits are more digitally influenced. So as you think about, from your point of view, you do have a sales job at South Mill Champs, and one of the things that you guys are undoubtedly tasked with is coming up with ways where, as a vendor, you are a solution hub for the retailer, not just by providing product, but also by providing point of sale support to get that path of purchase tightened up and get those mushrooms off the shelf and into people's, on the scan desk, so to say, at the cashier. So what would you say is particularly important for the produce department to remain relevant, engaging, inspiring when the attention economy is at the current state that it's at?
Yeah, and I think what Jennie started with was with the options people have today.
Yeah.
So the Mushroom Council is a support to the entire mushroom industry, and what they have done is they've partnered with some of the digital platforms like Instacart, because if you think about it, you're sitting on your couch now placing an order for your groceries, which that's very new. And so if you're not remaining relevant or high on that list, you're going to get passed by. Another thing is entertainment. We talk about how noisy of a place it is out there, but also we all know when we're being sold to, and it just feels icky. Like the car salesman pitch days are over. And so you really have to entertain and be remembered. Oh yeah, Maddie Matheson cooked with mushrooms. Or, oh yeah, Robin from Peloton, she was using mushrooms. And so it's about being remembered. From an old school point of sale too, those channel strips, do you guys remember what those are?
Of course, yeah.
So in the actual grocery store, for those that still do go in and shop and select their own produce, don't forget the basics, like make those inviting. Do a little call out flag, do all of those things, and it's not a single approach. You have to hit on every single approach because the demographic of buying power is shifting to a younger demographic, which is where you have to be on the digital platforms and be competing there, but then you still want to be eye-catching on the shelf.
Yeah.
And I sell a white and brown product, you guys. It is not sexy. So you got to draw the eye somehow.
So this is perfect segue to our next question, because our next question is all about how do you make fresh produce more visible, craveable, competitive, and as it relates to the consumer attention. So we'll keep the mic with you. Elaborate on that, Erica, because you're right.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Because we didn't used to have to be. It used to be you ate your vegetables because your mom made you. They were on your plate. It just doesn't work that way because mom's not cooking that way anymore. So again, giving credit to the Mushroom Council, we're trying to take the stigma away from mushrooms. It used to be an item that people would cook that were really chefy, that really knew what they were doing. And because you have to prep it. You don't just open it and dump it. You have to do something. And so they're just trying to take they actually have a campaign going. It's not magic, it's mushrooms, which is also the play on magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
And you just add it to anything. Whatever you're cooking today, I challenge you to add mushrooms to it. Is it your eggs? Is it your stir fry? Is it your steak? No matter what you're doing, is it your tofu? just challenge yourself and try to
Avocado
add it
toast,
today.
like so many things that are part of so many people's routines.
Exactly.
There's a place for mushrooms there. I love that. And Jennie, anything you'd like to add?
I think that there are two things. One is more difficult to control, and the other is part of our work as brand representatives, right?
Yeah.
I think, Erica, you talk about the Mushroom Council, and I'm on the board of the CPMA, the Canadian Produce Marketing Association, and we're thinking very broadly about what messages do we put out there so that produce, more generally, consumption goes up. And those are really tricky meta conversations, aren't they?
Yeah.
As a brand, what you control is your ability to be memorable, as we've discussed, and to entertain. You said that, Erica, and I think that's really something that we've hit on at Equifruit. It's almost like we're not selling bananas. Of course we're selling bananas, but we're selling our brand as something that when you choose, you're going to feel good about, that's going to make you laugh, rather than fair trade being something which is, frankly, it's heavy business, fair trade. The supply chain issues that we're dealing with, tough stuff. But if you can lighten the load and make people laugh a little bit, you can sneak in with your messages about your more difficult messages, but you're not going to get anybody's eyeballs unless you present it in an entertaining way.
Yeah, so true. Let's transition to talking about something I know all three of us are extremely passionate about, and something that is certainly an overarching goal of this entire mini-series. And that is the critical need for our industry to attract and retain the top talent that we possibly can. Mm-hmm. We're competing with some pretty savvy sectors to get the next generation to even see or think of agriculture or fresh produce in particular as a place where their interests have a home and their talent is needed. But I think attention economy, the concept of today's episode, certainly applies here. So Jennie, we'll start with you on this topic, and then Erica, I want your opinions and thoughts as well. But what must we do as an industry?
I think this is so connected to what we just spoke about, that if we, on a broad basis, attract people to an industry, not just a growing process, but an industry in all of its complexity, through great marketing, then people who are traditionally not in produce will start to think, hey, these people have something to say and are an option. Since we at Equifruit did this rebranding, which I say is now 6 years ago, but since we moved into this, playing in this attention economy, when we post a job, we get hundreds of CVs, and they aren't just people who are also IFPA or CPMA or whatever members. We have made the jump outside of produce, and I think that's what we have to do. That if we prove ourselves to be something that is interesting and at the core of our food systems, that we all have to eat, but we can do it in a way that doesn't feel really old economy, even though it is. Eating is the oldest economy ever. I think that's what we have to do, just overall raise the profile of produce as being another viable option. I'm participating in some sort of business thing, and there's a drop-down menu, and I have to say what industry it's from. How often has this happened to you guys, where agriculture or agri-food is not even listed? What?
Way too often.
It's ridiculous.
Way too often, especially as it relates to broader career development or, marketing. So many. Yes, I agree with you so much, Jennie. If it is something within food and beverage, sure, but that's already a hyper niche event or organization where agriculture is a critical stakeholder, established critical stakeholder. But if you widen that to a general leadership development or a general marketing or digital communications conference, like, good luck. Agriculture pie isn't even listed. You're right. Yeah. Erica, let's hear your thoughts on this.
I think, and it relates to salespeople, and I actually love salespeople that come from outside of produce because it's such a different perspective. And the way you're entertaining on your social channels or your digital footprint needs to be consistent with the type of person that you're attracting and your sales tactics. So if we're going to be a storytelling, education-based marketing channel, then that's the kind of sales tactics we need to apply out into the world. And so attracting those types of people should be easier because that's who you are, you know. But also, agriculture is so unique in that every day is different. I have done other sales also where the wine is already bottled, and so it's just, and it gets better with age, right? Mushrooms have a 10-day ticking time bomb. Once that 10-day hits, they're in the garbage. And so, you know, the fast-paced nature of it, every day is not perfect in produce, but every day is different. And so attracting those kinds of things too, being nimble. That's a new thing in produce. Before, it was, we always did it this way. And that was accepted. That was the acceptable answer. And you can't be that way with new employees because that's not the culture that they're used to. So there's that. You have to live it. You have to actually adapt your company culture to attract that talent as well.
I agree. And I think it also comes back to our expectations as a society and as consumers for transparency and that trust. I think those are critical values that, especially for our young generation and new career seeking, like graduates or young adults, that they got to know that they're dealing with trustworthy, transparent, no surprise type employers. That's my opinion on this.
You have to do it and breathe it every day because with LinkedIn, they're getting calls from other companies to go work there. The recruiter niche is thriving, it seems like. And so if you're not also attracting and maintaining those and living and breathing it, they're going to leave. And then your top talent was just an expense at that point.
I've got a rapid fire question. So as we consider today's fast-paced and information-heavy world, I'd love to know if you think we are making it easier or harder for households to choose fresh when it comes to their grocery shopping. So,
I don't know.
Erica?
Harder.
Jennie?
I don't know. I'm going to say easier.
The reason I lean into easier is because of the investments our industry is making in value-added foods.
Yeah.
That is why I say easier. But if you take that value-added section out of the picture, then I do say it's harder because we've lost a lot of that point of sale education. We've lost that human element where the produce manager is an ambassador and an educator for what exists within the produce industry or what exists within the department. I remember grocery shopping as a little girl, and the produce department manager had a very active role in educating all the shoppers. That is a pipe dream to think that type of ambassadorship can return at a mainstream level. The labor issues that affect every industry certainly affect grocery retail to where that we can't return to that shopper experience from the 80s, 90s, but lots of new technologies, lots of new ways to get on the positive side of the attention economy and make those things. But Erica, I'd love to know a little bit more about why your initial instinct was like, it's harder.
Because
and you didn't hesitate.
I make decisions all day, guys, for work, right?
Yeah.
And split-second decisions. When I am done with the day, I don't want to have to think. And so I've got almost analysis paralysis when it's time for dinner. And even that value add wall, there's so many freaking options. Like I'm just and then I have to consider the family. Or let's say I have an idea, I want to cook a certain recipe. Then I go to the store, but that item isn't at that store. And so then I'm like, crap, now what do I do? So I just think we have so much information now that at the end of the day, I just end up defaulting to whatever's on autopilot because I get overwhelmed.
I understand that. I definitely understand that. And as you were talking about like the decision fatigue, when I think about the produce department, that's one of the biggest things the apple industry talks about internally. And I know that it's something that externally people have used apples as the example of like, it's an overwhelming selection and consumers don't know which variety to choose.
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, Jennie,
Yeah, I
anything
think,
you'd like to add or elaborate?
I think that people are going to fall back on old favorites. I think that's human nature, but I think choice is a beautiful thing. And I am excited by the ways in which people can access information about their produce items in a way that they couldn't before. Some of us, not me particularly, but some of us are introverts and may not want to interact with a produce manager, for example. Whereas my 14-year-old regularly sends me interesting recipes through TikTok. I was not looking, I mean, obviously, I'm an old lady, so there was no TikTok at the time, but even as a teenager, I wasn't flipping through my mom's recipe books and saying, no, Mom, you have to buy Macintosh apples because that's what's here. There was no idea that there would be more than Macintosh apples, and I don't know, maybe I'm just optimistic. I love going to the grocery store, and I love seeing a well-stocked, varied produce department, and I think that while I work in produce, I'm otherwise representative of middle-aged mums who are out shopping.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Well, we'll transition to our closing remarks. This has been a great episode. I have really enjoyed discussing attention economy and honing it into the fresh produce sector. I read about it, like I said, you hear Erica and I pre-show, we were talking about, Gary Vee talks about this topic all the time. You see it in all of the advertising and marketing journals. You don't see it so much in the agriculture or fresh produce trade journals. So it's been really nice to have this discussion with you both to bring this topic into our world of fresh produce. So with that, Erica, you get Mike for your closing remarks, and then Jennie, we will have you sign us off from today's show.
Perfect.
I would just say that if you're in the ag industry and you're not thinking about this, like, start, because it's never too late. Websites used to be a nice to have, now they're a must have. It's now the same way with the digital marketing plan. Like, you must have it. And it's not a one size fits all. You really have to have a multi-pronged approach. So don't wait, just start. And with all the tools out there for free, you can develop one pretty simply and just start.
Beautiful.
I'm so glad we talked about this subject of the attention economy, and I think it overflows into all kinds of things. It's going to overflow into consumption questions, and as you brought up, Lori, our ability to attract talent from outside of the industry. I think these are really positive steps for produce. Erica, you said that you love to hire people or work with salespeople who are from outside of produce. And I agree, when we get a new person from outside the fold, it feels exciting. And I think that is linked to this attention economy. And I think that is also, I know this is not a succinct wrap up, and we talked about how succinct was important. I think that the attention economy is bringing more women into the produce industry, and I think that's great too. We just here in Canada had the elections for the CPMA board. We're going to have more women on the board than ever before. I think that's terrific, and I think that's part of a whole shift in culture that is inextricably linked to the different ways we're communicating about our industry. Hooray for that.
Love it. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap.